Our fan favorites are here for Top That Trade. Joining us right now, Phil Flynn, a Fox Business News contributor, and Alan Nuckman, a pro trader with Agora Financial, ready to go with round number one. Apple fan. It is expensive being a fan of Apple gadgets, but what about the stock? Would you take a bite of Apple?
It's expensive if you're going to buy every Apple product and the best ones of them, and it's going to cost you about $80,000. And the bulk of that comes from a $55,000 MacBook Pro. The rest of it, the phone, the watch, the iPad, you know, they're minimally expensive. But Apple itself has not made new highs and still about 10% off, and the market continues to make records. So that's a very positive, bullish sign. And if you look at the stock, it's trading between 105 and 125. That targets 145 and new highs. All of this has happened without Apple. I'm a big fan of the bullishness of the market.
I think I like Apple as well, though, because Apple, of course, is talking about pent-up demand for their new 5G phones, and they're afraid they're not going to be able to keep up with demand. You know, sometimes, though, I think they do this on purpose, because I remember the iPhone 11, you know, I don't know if we can keep up with demand. You know, it's like they stay undersupplied to keep the buzz going. But make no mistake about it, whatever they do works, right, because the stock usually goes up. But as Alan and I know, should you go out and buy the new iPhone? You probably would be better off buying a share of the stock. Because if you think back, if you would have bought one share of Apple every time you bought a new iPhone, instead of buying the phone, you'd be a lot better off financially than you would be having to replace your phone.
Round number two, gold bug or bite on Bitcoin. What's the better buy?
What I like are a couple of stocks that are in this business big time. If you look at PayPal, they got into the alternative currency business a while ago, and that stock's up 100% to 2020. The big mover is Square. Square is up 250% on the year, and they put in $50 million in actual cash Bitcoin in October when it's at 14,000. They're up 50% of their positions. So I think those services, as they get more and more people to actually use the Bitcoin when they're purchase things, those are going to continue to run. But they're at highs as well.
Yeah, but it's going to be difficult for these retailers to control the risk. It's great when the Bitcoin goes up. You buy something with Bitcoin and then it doubles overnight. The problem is what happens when it, gets cut in half. So that could make it an interesting hedge for the retailers.
Round number three, trouble bubble. Japan's Nikkei was called one of the biggest bubble bursts ever. Is the NASDAQ on its way to a pop?
The Nikkei has been the biggest market joke for the last 30 years. So it was 29 years ago that it was at its highs, 1989. I was in college. But since then, it's been called, dead money is what we've referred to in our business. But it did break out. So that's a big sign. It's not just the United States is breaking out. It's also Japan, the EWJ, the Nikkei has had a breakout to the upside. So that's very positive for the globe as well. But it turns out that optimism wins. It just took a little bit longer than a lot of people had thought.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Japan was the first place that went to negative interest rates to try to stir their economy many years ago. And they've had a very difficult time. But if you go back, to the 70s and the 80s, I mean, they were the economy, they were the envy of the world. So it is a warning sign that, you have to keep going, right? There is a cycle and we can go. I think the difference between Japan and what we're seeing in the NASDAQ right now, Japan was at the end of an incredible run, but what they were to the point, like, what are you going to do for me lately on their economy, right? We can only sell so many TVs, right? So they didn't really have that futuristic thing that was driving the economy. So where now we're on inventing a brand new economy in the NASDAQ, right? Technologies that we didn't even know could exist just a few years ago. That's why I think this has legs in this NASDAQ. I'm not worried about a bubble yet. There will be a bubble. It's coming, but we're not there yet.
For your bonus round question for today, it's ticker time. Let's do some Christmas cheer, shall we? I have come up with some tickers. You have to spot the one that I made up. Is it Noel, Bell, or Star?
Actually, the Christmas Star this year, first time in 400 years, December 21st. So I'm going with Star.
I was at the last one. It was awesome. I'm going to go with Star too.
The answer was Noel. It is not a true ticker, guys. But thank you very much for keeping us entertained all year long. And happy holidays, guys. Business First AM continues.